Come up to the hut and I'll tell you a yarn. Welcome back, brothers and the occasional sister, to the Bro Check Club, and welcome also to part 8 of Frosty the Pig Dog. This is a story for adults, so please remove all small children from the room or use your own discretion in the story. In last part 7, we've just left Tokanui Mental Hospital, or at least I've escaped from it, and not that I was a patient there, but we have committed Brian Larry, and I've got out. Sandra had dropped her kids off at a mum's place, and Sandra's picked me up, and we're now on our way from Tokanui, and we're heading to Auckland in the Combi van. So we're heading to a place in Auckland where there's a flat with quite a few rooms and a few colourful people living in it. They're the Radio Hauraki crowd, or most of them are. Well, there's one guy there called Wayne who doesn't seem to be working. He's there all the time. It's my first day there. I arrive, and Wayne's a real helpful bugger. He gets an old barrel, one of those oak barrels, probably a wine one, cuts a hole out of it, puts some rugs in, and makes a really nice kennel for Frosty. Frosty's not allowed inside the flat because one of the guys in the flat, he's got a cat. Now this guy inside the flat, he was my first introduction to meeting a man that's homosexual. That night I was sleeping on the couch, and that particular bloke, he comes in and says, "Hey, I've got a more comfortable bed. Do you want to come into my room?" I said, "Yeah, hell yeah. I much prefer a bed." Not thinking any the wiser. Go into his bedroom. He lights up a big fat one. It's probably about 11 o'clock at night. He's been out working, doing his shift. And we smoke a big doobie. And then I get all these bumblebees buzzing in my head. And his cat sits on my chest, and he starts patting his cat. And then his hand drops off the cat and onto my belly. And I turned around and said to him, "I don't feel very comfortable with your hand there, mate." He said, "No worries." Took it off. And I turned over and went to sleep. And woke up in the morning. Nothing happened. Didn't lay a finger on me. Next morning, getting some breakfast, Wayne comes up and he goes, "How's your butthole this morning?" I said to him, "What?" He goes, "How's your butthole?" I said, "What do you mean, how's me butthole?" He goes, "Does it hurt?" I went, "No. Why would it?" He says, "Well, you were in bed with old, you know." I said, "The bloke with the cat?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "So?" He goes, "You know he's a pillow biter, don't you?" I said, "A what?" He goes, "A pillow biter." I said, "What's a pillow biter?" He says, "Mate, you come to the big smoke. You come to Auckland, and you don't know what a pillow biter. You and I have to sit down, and we have to have a long talk about things." So Wayne and I had to sit down and had a long talk about things. And I learnt what a pillow biter is, or does. And I thought that was weird, but that was okay. Nothing happened to me. And I also learned lots of other things. He told me about all the people I might meet in a place called K Road. And he said things may not appear to be as they seem when you look at things. And remember that. So I took that on board. Anyway, he was a good bastard. He got me a job in a place, it was a restaurant, not a bad restaurant either, called Salters. And in that restaurant, my job was kitchen hand, washing dishes and peeling potatoes and shredding carrots sometimes as well. And I made pretty good money. But the best part about it was that Frosty, at the end of every night when I was finished, got to eat all the scraps. And he'd get this like filet, like beautiful, beautiful steak that someone had only eaten half the steak. And they'd taken it off, so I'd take that aside. Salmon, chicken, lamb, pork, and Frosty every day after I finished work, when I come out to the kitchen outside, because he just stay outside the restaurant at the back, his tail would be like wagging, because he knew he was going to get a real epic feed. I worked 4 nights a week. Our big nights were Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays, and on Sundays sometimes I worked, but those 3 days were the main 3 days, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. One Friday night we've been working there, It was quite late, finished, and the bloke that gave me a ride to work, who also worked at Salters, that was a friend of Sandra's, in the Ponsonby house, or the flat at least, he said, "Mate, I'll take you around to a pub round the corner. We'll go and have a drink before we go home." I said, "Oh yeah." I think he'd been busy knobbing Sandra because she had a lot of men friends, and that was the reason we went to the house, because she knew him. So we went round to this really seedy, grubby little pub, and the people in there were just seedy. It's the first time I'd ever seen a lot of Maori people. We didn't have so many Maori people where I came from in the South Island, and most of the people in the pub were Maori. There was a few white blokes, but we were a minority, and everybody was smoking inside the pub and drinking their beer out of big brown bottles, just drinking straight out of it. I had the dog outside, and when I came to the door, I tied it up outside. The barman looked up and saw my dog, and he said, "Hey mate, you can bring the dog inside if you keep an eye on it, look after it." I said, "Okay." And I realised he had a dog in the bar, behind the bar. A big old red setter across something that looked like a bit of a rug. Just like maybe 14, 15-year-old dog, real old dog with all the grey muzzle. Took Frosty inside, and he made friends with the dog behind the bar, and they stayed friends, and Frosty was there. I didn't tie him up by my chair, and the barman didn't seem to mind. And we're having a pint at the bar, and then there was this big woman in a big dress I could only describe as looking like a flowery tent. It was huge. She was a big, big woman. And she was looking at the dogs playing, and she finally looks over at me, and she's rolling a cigarette, Port Royal, and she goes, "Smoke?" She said to me. I thought, geez, doesn't sound like a woman. I said, "Yeah, I'll have a smoke." She gave me a paper, a zigzag, and I rolled it up with a bit of Port Royal, licked it, and she lit my cigarette. In those days she let her smoke inside the pub. And she goes, "This is no place for a dog." And I said, "Well, I take it everywhere I go." She goes, "A dog like that belongs in the country." And I'm thinking, this woman sounds like a bloke. I said, "Well, I come from the country. I come from Motueka, and I used to hunt Frosty and the Abel Tasman and up the Graham and up the Pierce, and now we're just doing a trip and he's staying with me while I'm here in Auckland." She says, "That's a pig dog." And I said, "Yeah." And her face lit up, and she put a big hand out. She goes, "Berta." And next to Berta was another skinny guy, and she goes, "He's Alan. Doesn't say much." Alan nods. Alan's a sort of bald head guy with a twitch like this all the time. Does it? And I said, "Hi Alan." He leans across, and before he says his name, he puts his hand out and he goes, "Alan." I said, "Hi Alan." And Berta goes, "We've got a pig dog that looks a lot like yours." I said, "Really?" I said, "Can it catch a pig?" "Sure it can." I said, "Okay." And I realised that Berta actually was a bloke. Mascara, like fingernail polish, makeup on, but big manly arms, and big old tattoos with ships with anchors, like the old tattoos I used to have. And she'd roll a cigarette, scull a beer, wipe her face, and then make another cigarette, or he would at least. The night went on, and we drank, and a few things went on in the pub, and at the end of the night, Berta says, "You want to go pig hunting tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah, I do." "Pick you up early." So the next morning, they arranged to pick me up at 4 o'clock. I didn't sleep much that night. I was pretty excited. And they pull up in a really beautiful old, the really lovely FJ, nice, fantastic Toyota Land Cruiser, which I've always loved them, the yellow one. Pulls up there, 4-seater. Can't remember if it was a bench in the seat in the front. I think it might have had 3 in the front. I think it might have had no buckets. Yeah, 2 in the, like a seat for 2, and then the bucket for the driver. And in the back of the wagon is a dog that looks just like Frosty, except it's a female dog. And Berta goes, "This is Scab." Well, I look at Berta, I look at Scab, and I look at Berta. Berta's now got a rugby top on. He's not wearing his clothes anymore, and all his long hair is gone, like he's bald, because he had long hair the night before. He's still got his fingernail polish on and his eye makeup, but he's got a rugby shirt, sleeves rolled up, and Alan's driving. I'm sitting in the back seat and the window wipers going voot, 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 voot. The rain's still coming down a little bit, and I'm thinking to myself, if this rain stops, it's going to be good where we're going, because the pigs will be rooting up. Alan leans over, he's in the driver's seat, and turns off the wipers, and turns to Berta and goes, Bert? And Bertha goes, yeah? That fingernail polish you're wearing, mate, is the wrong colour. And Bertha goes, what do you mean, wrong colour? He goes, doesn't go with that rugby top you're wearing. And Bertha goes, what shall I wear? And he goes, Revlon red, mate. Revlon red. Berta, who's now getting called Bert, is like, ugh, should have known. And I'm sitting in the back seat going, these people in Auckland are totally different to anybody I've seen before. I hope their pig hunting's a bit better than the way they are, because I'm not really getting all this, but I'll go with it anyway. What does a 15, 16-year-old kid know? So we head to a place called Woodhill Forest. I think it's west of Auckland, about half an hour. It's 4 a.m. in the morning, and by the time we get there, it's still dark. And we get out of the truck there, and Berta says to me, gotta be careful. There's a hill over there on the other side with a long field. Get down there. The guy at that house, he shoots dogs. He pins them up on the fence. I said, why would he do that? He's setting a precedent for other people to go on his land. He's a dope grower. Alan goes, yeah, mate, he shoots dogs. So there's a big hill. It's got a pine tree at the top of it. The other side goes down a bit of native bush, and then there's a big paddock, and his house is in that big paddock. I'm right, okay, well, we'll keep well away from that pine tree and we'll hunt this side here then. And the wind's in our favour, it's going that way. Let the dogs out, and off we go. We hadn't gone far at all, and I watched my dog, and you pig hunters, you know that you can read your own dog better than you can read other people's dogs. Now the other dog's called Scab. The Scab looks pretty much very similar to Frosty, except Scab's a bitch and doesn't have the big patch on the eye, but same size. So in the dark or half dark, it's hard to tell which dog's which. But I realised it was my dog that was starting to look different, walk differently, getting that sort of step as he's walking, go up the trail, and he stops for a minute and didn't even start winding. But I turned around to Bert and I said, I reckon there's a pig around here, mate. And Bert takes over another, he's rolling a cigarette, puts it in his mouth. He says, I reckon you're right. Blows a bit of smoke up, watches the wind go over his head. He goes, wind's perfect. And then as he says that, both the dogs put their head up and start winding a bit. I get my torch out. In those days we had none of the flash head torches, it's all handheld stuff. And I'm on the ground and there it is right in front of us. A perfect sow mark. I'm going a bit further along, watching Frosty. He's looking around, sniffing a bit. Then he starts to wind. And the other dog wins. I got my torch on the ground again, and now I see another print. This time it's a good bore mark. So there's 2 pigs in the area at least, possibly more. We're going a bit further now. Both dogs are starting winding, and suddenly they go like this, ching, but they go in different directions. My dog goes to the right, and their dog goes to the left. I start sprinting, because in those days there's no tracking gear. You just got to keep up with your dog, and you got to listen for the bark. Didn't take long. I heard 50 metres. I'm sprinting full tit, checking my knives on my hip, going through the dark. Got my torch, going through trees, get to it, and here's a nice fat 70-pound sow. Perfect for the pot. Frosty's got the nose and they're going round and round. I get a leg, flip it, stick it. I'm like, whoo-wee. And I can hear the other dog barking over there, and Frosty's like gone. I haven't had a chance to drop the guts out or arsehole or throat this pig. I've just left it there on the ground, marked where it is, had a look around in the dark, made some mark, and now I'm sprinting to the other side. And when I get to the other side, by the time I get there, both dogs are bailing, and Alan's up a bloody tree or up a manuka. He's up there bending around this manuka, and his pig's at the bottom of Anuka and the dogs are barking and he's trying to saw them into it. And then I'm running around and Bera, who's big and heavy, is taking so long to get up the hill, comes out of nowhere through the bush and I'm dancing around the pig and Alan's up the tree and Bera's got a cigarette in his mouth. He goes, "Get that bloody pig!" And I'm like, "You get it." He goes, "Get out of my way," and he just goes running straight into this boar, and the boar looks at Bera, and Bera's not even slowing down, grabs a front leg and a back leg instead of taking the back legs like you normally, just grabs both head on without getting lucky not to get smashed, lifts the whole thing up. Never seen anybody flip a pig like it before, and one big flip, lifts it up, takes his knife out and sticks it, and the rest is history. Well, not quite. He says to me, "Put a rope on your dog." I said, "Why?" He said, "There's more pigs around here. We've got enough. Put a rope on it." I looked around. I go, "Where is he?" "You're too bloody slow." And he'd taken off up around towards where we didn't want him to go, in the direction we didn't want either of our dogs to go. And Scab's gone off too. So I'm sprinting with Alan behind me, and I can hear Berta cursing and swearing, and I'm sprinting and I can hear a bit of a bark again. It sounds like they're chasing something. I get up to the top and I can see where the pine tree is, and the sun's coming up now. The sun's coming up, and it's like, shit, I think he's gone up the top there. It sounds like it. I better sprint to the top and have a look. So I didn't want to go that direction, but I get up there, and sure enough, I can hear down that bit of native bush, just before you get to the paddock where the guy that shoots dogs' house is, I can hear it sounds just like Frosty. I'm sure it's Frosty. And Alan goes, "Where's the other dog?" I said, "My dog's down here." He goes, "Where's your dog?" I said, "They're both down here." Both dogs had gone in there. I'm at the top now, very looking down, and I can see the grass on the other side of the native bush, and then I see Frosty break out, and I thought it was a pig he was chasing, but then I realised he's going up straight towards where the farmhouse is, and there's a whole pen of about 7 or 8 pigs in this pen, and he's running towards it. So I'm sprinting down the hill. I've got to go through the native bush because I want to grab him before he gets there. It takes me about 5 minutes to get through the native bush, and I come out on the other side. I'm now in the big paddock, and I can see the front door opening of the farmhouse. Their dogs have started to bark because Berta is in the truck and he's going up their driveway, and the guy's coming out the front and he's got a bloody gun, and there's Frosty bailing some pigs up that are inside a pen. And I think, oh no, he's going to shoot Frosty. And I'm like, no, don't do it, don't shoot him. I'm too far away from to hear, and I'm sprinting and screaming, and then I hear, bang, fuck. And I see Frosty on the ground, his legs going like this. And then the guy reloading and going up and putting another one on. I'm like, fuck, Frosty's been fucking killed. Don't know where the other dog's gone. I'm like, oh. I'm in pieces. Can't find the other dog anywhere. Don't want that to get shot. Don't want Scab to get shot too. Looking around, and I'm sprinting up there, and then I see Bera coming out, and he's walking straight towards this big guy. And all I see is from a distance is him go up, grab the guy's gun, and the other guy is also a big man. Grab the gun. I see him go smack. This other guy. Then I see Bera take the bolt out of the rifle and stick it in his pocket and take the gun up to a fence, a ball fence, and just go smash, smash, smash. And the other guy's still on the ground nursing a jaw that's probably broken. And I go running up, and Berta picks up the dog and goes back to the truck. And as I'm getting close, he says, "Get in the truck." So I get in the truck, and I'm like, oh, Frosty's dead. And he's putting Frosty in the back of the truck. It's like, oh shit. I get in the truck in the back there, and when I get in the back there, I realise there's Scabs in the truck, and Alan's holding him down. And Berta turns around to me and looks at me, and Berta's got tears streaming down his eyes. And I'm thinking, why are you crying? My dog's got shot, not yours. And then I realise that Frosty's in the bloody cab in the truck, and it was Scab that got shot. Frosty's alive, and I got them mixed up, and they've picked up Frosty. He's come back. So Scab's dead, and I'm elated, but I'm sorry because I've got my dog still. And Berta's like, that was the best dog I ever had. And he's got all his knuckles are all red where he's punched this guy, and he's like shaking. We go back around, we pick up the other 2 pigs back in the truck, driving home. Not a word said, nothing at all. Nothing at all, just quiet, and I'm in the back of the truck going, oh shit, and I'm feeling so uncomfortable. We get there, I took some pork home, I took the sow, they took the boar. Occasionally, after work at Salters, I'd go and see Bera. We went for a few more hunts, but we never really caught much, and it was not the same without Scab, and he missed Scab. Anyway, that was today's part 8 of Frosty the Pig Dog. I stayed in Auckland for a not much longer. I didn't really like the place that much, didn't suit me. The next place that I went to was Te Puke, but that's a story for another day. Go steady, brothers, and share the story with a brother or the series of Frosty the Pig Dog if you know someone who's down who wants a bit of light entertainment just to make you forget about the troubles in the world and have a laugh. It's good for the soul. See you later.